main motivation is to understand how the universe came to be as it is. And that's a long story, of course, and we've learned a big part of this story already, but it's incomplete. The story is incomplete as long as we don't know how quantum gravity works, what's the quantum properties of space and time, and that's what I want to know.
At the very root of things, at the most fundamental level, there is a beautiful description to be found, a very simple idea which underlies all the laws of nature.
How can you be so sure?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But it may be true, and it may be that the beauty we find in a theory like Einstein's theory is a reflection of that. 'Twas but a dream of thee, is a dream of the beauty at a much deeper level of the really fundamental theory. Now, of course, when Donne was talking about 'twas but a dream of thee, he was talking about a mistress, or perhaps it had some religious significance, and with Donne the two are difficult to disentangle. But I'm talking, the dream is the dream of the final theory, a theory which is itself beautiful and whose beauty we see reflected imperfectly in the theories we now have.
You wrote, the usefulness of our sense of beauty is a sign of our progress towards a
Yes.
final theory.
Yes, I think it may be. Now, you ask, though, a very good question. How do we know that there is a beautiful, simple description of nature underlying everything? And we don't know, but there is a reason for suspecting it. And the reason is just the increasing simplicity of the ideas which describe nature. The description of nature that we have now is infinitely simpler than it was in the 19th century, when there were separate sciences like physics and chemistry and biology, which were not thought to have any real relation between. I mean, there were laws of chemistry and there were laws of physics. Laws of physics were divided into laws of optics and mechanics and electricity and magnetism. There had been a mild unification in the work of Maxwell that unified optics and electricity and magnetism. But now, so many of these things are brought into a common framework. Nature has gotten, if more esoteric, more mathematical, more impersonal, still much simpler in the way we look at it and describe it. Now, I can imagine this growth in simplicity going on for many years to come. But I can't imagine it going on forever. How can things get more and more simple? They could get more and more complicated. But more and more simple, you would think eventually it has to come to an end. It has to converge to something which is the final simple theory. But I don't know that that's true. The concepts are increasingly foreign and impossible to explain except in mathematical terms. The most adventurous theoretical physicists today have almost succeeded in giving up the idea of space and time, except as phenomena that arise at a certain level of approximation, but which do not appear in the underlying equations. For an ordinary physicist who lives in the world of particles colliding and electric currents and rays of light, it's very difficult to imagine formulating the equations that govern nature without having space and time in at the very beginning. And yet that's the way the leading theorists of today are going. This is hard for me to understand. And the mathematics that goes into it is mathematics that physicists of my generation certainly didn't learn. Although we are comfortable with the equations of Einstein and Newton, we did learn that mathematics when we were in school. I've been pretty cautious about imagining what the final theory is. I think there was a time...
You're sure about its beauty. But
well, I'm sure about its beauty because if it isn't beautiful, we won't recognize it as the final theory. We will say, well, why is this what it is? And we will look for something more beautiful. So it may be the final in the sense that it's the best we can come up with, but it won't be what our heart's desire is.
Whakarongo mai rā kia mato.